What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news. Some unfortunate news concerning Mauricio Sulaiman, Artur Beterbiev, and Dmitry Bivol. Get this. Sulaiman states that Bivol or Beterbiev would not involve the WBC title. We refuse to sanction a fight with Bivol. Mauricio Sulaiman, a president of the World Boxing Council, the WBC, has revealed that his organization refused to sanction a potential undisputed fight between unbeaten light heavyweight champion Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Beterbiev holds the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO titles, while Bivol is the WBA champion. While both champions are Russian, Beterbiev has lived in Canada for several years. Bivol, on the other hand, still is a Russian national. The WBC has taken a hard line against Russian athletes because of Russia's ongoing military conflict with the Ukraine. The WBC cannot, quote, the WBC cannot sanction a fight with Bivol in it, Sulaiman told a Spanish platform. He says, this is because our position with Russia and the war with Ukraine, the WBC would not accept that fight. The camps for both champions has tried to reach an agreement earlier this year. Bivol and his manager, Vadim Kornilov, would later disclose that the offer was not good enough. Okay. In the event that Bivol and Beterbiev reached an agreement for the future fights, the WBC will not be at stake anyway. He says exactly. They would fight without the WBC, Sulaiman explained. As of today, that is the position of the WBC about that fight. As long as there is no boxing in Ukraine, we will not accept boxing in Russia, at least not sanctioned by the WBC. At this moment, our ruling is Beterbiev has to fight his WBC mandatory rival, Callum Smith, said Mauricio Sulaiman. And let me counterpunch. If this was the IBF, the IBO, the WBA, or the WBO, this would be okay. But since it's the WBC, I can't really, when people decide to enforce rules or to make a decision conveniently, it always makes me scratch my head. Dmitry Bivol is a Russian fighter. Sure, he is. So is Artur Beterbiev. But because he lives in Russia, you won't give him a fair shake. That's just shit. That shit's just not right. You know, I do understand what's going on in the Ukraine. For what I know, and I do support Ukraine, especially the fighters in Ukraine. And I look, and you know, and I hope that their families are safe. You know, but not bringing Bivol on for the WBC, it makes you think like, okay, well, where was your judgment when you let a lot of shit fly that wasn't right in your own sanctioning body? We Be Crooks was designed or was nicknamed that from the WBC to We Be Crooks because of the crooked shit that was going on with the WBC. Now all of a sudden you want to take a national stance against, oh, well, a lot of people in Ukraine aren't, and you know, no, I think that's bullshit because that's just like saying that, okay, you know why it's bullshit? Because if you're saying, well, no Ukrainian fighters are fighting, therefore no Russians aren't. Okay, that's like you having a problem with Alexander Usyk fighting Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, the WBC champion is Artur Beterbiev, just like the WBC heavyweight champion is Tyson Fury. So you're saying that Alexander Usyk, he can fight and he's from the Ukraine, but a Russian fighter can't. So if that's the case, just say that shit. Don't say, oh, well, or if fighting is not going in Ukraine, neither is it going on in Russia. Okay, who the fuck said it's going to be in Russia anyway? Why couldn't it be in the States? Why are you singling this man out and not someone else? You know, I know that Russia is going through like a boycott or whatever, but what Mauricio is doing is wrong based on what he always does and finds slick ass ways to do stuff. Now you're going to make a call just because it's convenient to you or you think it's politically cool to do. Because me personally, I don't think Mauricio gives a shit about anybody's rules as long as it doesn't involve him losing money or as long as it makes him money. Let's put it that way, right? So that's not fair to Bivol. You know, Bivol's not claiming to be a politician. If he did have like a stance on why and did become political, I could understand that, because at that point he would put his foot in his mouth and, you know, you think that war's right. Okay, I wouldn't fuck with you either, because by your own admission, you're saying that I agree with killing and bombing public places and all that stuff that, you know, that you're seeing, you know, from time to time, or what's going on over there. Okay. Now, fair is fair, you know, and I think that Mauricio has taken a position out of convenience, not necessarily because it's right. Based on the way he explained it, nobody should be able to fight from those two countries. And especially if you're not a politician or you don't know really what's going on over there and why, you know what I mean? I think you should stay the hell out of it. But what's one thing you don't hold a fighter back just because of where he lives. Because, you know, a person can't help where he grew up and lived. Yeah, he could have moved a while back, but, you know, he had family. Like he says, I have family. Like Dmitry Bivol broke it down best. He was like, look, I have family everywhere. I have friends and family in Ukraine. I have friends and family in Russia. So, you know, I don't hate either person. I just happen to live in Russia. That shit reminds me of Max Schmeling back in the day. Max Schmeling wasn't a Nazi, but because of the country that invaded other countries with Adolf Hitler with his reign, he became the poster child of the Nazis. You know what I mean? Dmitry Bivol is not a poster child of Russians taking over shit. You see what I'm saying? So that's bizarre to me. You guys tell me what you think of Mauricio refusing to do a unification or put his belt on the line with Dmitry Bivol because he's Russian and he lives in Russia. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!